era, which preceded the Jazz Age, was really the late 1890s through to 1910. What happened with ragtime was kind of revolutionary. It was an Africanization of American music, and it was ragging time. It was to basically change up the tempo, introduce syncopation to songs. So by the turn of the century, it was really a craze. And so it had an influence on music everywhere in North America, including in Toronto in the time of Murdoch.
What's going on in there?
Destructuring of music, I sort of attributed to jazz, but I guess there were a lot of things that came long before that. I learned a lot just going through the script, and the way it gets explained is pretty cool.
In the writing room, we talked about it, and what interested us was that idea of here we are now in 1901. What we love to do is base stuff on something that really happened. Part of the theme of this season is Queen Victoria's dead, things are starting to change. And so we thought this would be a great way to explore the beginning of ragtime. You see the stays of the Victorian corset start to loosen, and that's what we really wanted to explore, sort of thematically.
Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Glory, hallelujah.
I was doing some research on the history of music of the Underground Railroad in Canada. I came across a reference to a group called the Canadian Jubilee Singers and found out that there was this world-famous singing group from Hamilton from the late 1800s. They toured Europe and they toured all over America. They were a really world-famous, celebrated ensemble.
Nobody knows the trouble I've seen. Nobody knows but Jesus.
And the troupe sang very traditional spiritual songs, very, very famous, but very conservative. And so what the episode leads us into was the sort of musical differences amongst the members of the group.
Ragtime, it was a very sexy music. It was very kind of sensuous. This was all brand new. And to some in Toronto society, that was very scandalous.
Constable Crabtree.
Ah, Miss Hamilton, what a surprise. Can I help you?
I certainly hope so. The constabulary must shut that place down immediately.
What place is this?
They call it the Blind Pig. But a den of iniquity is what it is. They play the devil's music, and couples dance in a most unseemly manner.
It was considered a bit corrupt and crude by some whites, but I think more open-minded music listeners were quite intrigued by this use of syncopation. It was embraced by young people, and it represented kind of the excitement of the age.
Love, oh love, oh careless love. Love, oh careless love.
I chose the song Careless Love very specifically because it relates to the whole theme of the episode. It just felt like that was a nice thing to do, just on a very subtle level. I like to do that in my writing, to find those kinds of little links and this idea of crazy music and couples dancing close where the skin was touching. And then we pushed it as well with, you know, the idea that the Jubilee Singers changed. We have the scene where Hattie does her serpentine dance, which is very provocative. And Harvey, our director, had this great idea, which was to sort of create more of a cabaret kind of atmosphere in the Grand Theatre when we shot that. So there was this sense of things breaking down, things changing. So the whole idea is sort of the cracking open of music.
I heard music like this in a little place I frequented in New York City. It's such an intoxicating sound.
I was introduced to ragtime music when I was a kid. One of my favorite films is The Sting, and the opening of the movie is Scott Joplin's The Entertainer, and so that was the first time I heard ragtime music, and I've been a fan ever since.
I didn't really know much about it before, and it's interesting to see actually what that is and how all other music is based upon it, like that change from the more classical sort of music into ragtime music. I think that her and Crabtree have this lovely relationship. It's very friendly and sweet, but there might be that little bit of fun missing, whereas Leslie is this guy who, obviously he looks great and he's an attractive man, but he's mysterious and he knows things that she doesn't know. And Grace is normally the one that has the one up on George, so to have a person who knows some things she doesn't, I think intrigues her.